and then you see the number here changing. So that this is being coded.
ACI 5+7. Do you want to start?
Sure. Sashibuki Jokshin Drami Shi Nyande Kempadi Sange Shindu Mite Uwa Girokunanda Shingla Shupa Shok Churan Soki Choknamma Jamchu Baju Rakni Kyapsuchi Laki Jingyan Gipe Sunamki Drola Panchir Sange Drupa Shor Churan Soki Choknamma Jamchu Baju Rakni Kyapsuchi Laki Jingyan Gipe Sunamki Drola Panchir Sange Drupa Shor.
Thanks.
Sange Churan Soki Choknam Jamchu Padu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Jinjin Gipe Sunamki Drola Panchir Sange Drupa Shor.
Keep your eyes closed just for a moment. Just watching your breath. Watching your belly rise and fall. Slowing your breath down. Moving your focus to the tip of your nostrils. Watching your breath here. settle. Starting to feel more and more centered. To get you ready to feel open to this class. Get you in a neutral state. Starting to see right now the emptiness of the three spheres. The emptiness of yourself, the emptiness of the other people around you, the situation you are in. So it's all blank. You are labeling. You're labeling yourself the way you see yourself right now, the way you're feeling, whether you're feeling calm and peaceful, or maybe you feel a little bit irritated, or maybe you're not feeling happy, whatever it is, how you see yourself. Maybe you feel fantastic. Know that it has nothing to do with this moment. Know that this is a creation of your past. Your past deeds have put you in this place. That's why you see yourself the way you are doing at this moment. And everybody around you in this room, the way they see themselves is also a result of their past deeds. And the way you see them is all dependent on your karma and the situation that you are in. The connections between you and the other people in the room, the fact that you are in this room, the room itself, all of it is coming from your mind. The way you experience the whole thing. To know that is such a blessing. To know that and to truly know that is freedom. can slowly open your eyes. Hi, Nina. Nice to have you. Nice to have you.
It's nice to be here.
So Nina, when you come in and you still need to get settled and stuff, it's best to just plop yourself down and get settled after we come out of the meditation. And the reason why I'm saying that is that you don't know what other people are going through when they're quiet, when they're meditating. For all you know, Hogan is having like the most profound breakthrough moment. Like you don't know when anybody has one of those, right? So when you're shuffling around, it can snap him out of it, and it's okay. That's why I really slowly start. I mean, the main focus of this meditation is to get everybody centered and present and open, ready for class. I'm not doing like serious meditations here. But it's a good thing to just have in the back of your mind. Like when I meditate in a group, I get uncomfortable very easily and not super open, flexible, and I get pain when I sit after a while, and I force myself to stay, even though sometimes it's excruciating. But because I'm thinking, I don't know the person beside me, what they're going through. They might be having a direct perception of emptiness. You don't want to be the one that messes that up, right? So it's just a good thing to keep in the back of your mind. Because also, when you do so, what are you putting in place, right? Actually, you are helping your future self to have a beautiful experience of meditation because you are putting yourself in a position where you're thinking about the other person. You want to make sure their meditation is good, and by the virtue of doing so, you're creating beautiful meditations for yourself. So it's actually a smart thing to do. We are talking about karma still. This course, as you know, is all about that. We're talking about black and white karma today. And there's a couple complicated things in this class that hopefully we'll be able to understand. Okay, so we can divide the world into 3 realms. Do you know what realm we are in right now? Desire. We're in the desire realm. Yeah. So there's the desire realm, there's the form realm, and the formless realm. So we are in the desire realm. And the third Dalai Lama says we live in the desire realm because what? What are our main desires? You might know that, Tanjeet.
What are our main desires?
Yeah, in this realm. Have you heard that before? No. Food and sex.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Yeah, you must have. Yeah, that's what we do, why we do the things we do, because that's what we're after. And it's a big part of our day to think about those things. And that's one of the reasons why we're in the desire realm. So we talked about the different kinds of beings. What kinds of beings are there? You wanna? Okay, so we are humans. What other beings are there? Animals. Hell beings.
Hungry ghosts.
Yeah. That's good. And then we have the gods, right? They say demigods, pleasure beings.
Demigods are also known as pleasure beings.
Yeah, here it says they're two different things. I'm actually not fully sure what is the difference.
Would you include angels in that too, or
not? I guess it depends how you define angel. It could.
So Turnkey, you're saying that the craving spirits are different from hell?
Yeah. So hell beings, what would be the difference? Do you remember we talked about what the craving spirits are? Do you remember?
Yeah, the ones who can't satisfy their cravings.
Yeah.
Just roaming.
Yeah, so they do have an intense kind of suffering because they really want, they're thirsty, and the water that they might see 1 second and the next moment is blood and pus. Right? They can't. But the hell beings are suffering way worse than that. You know, they're in there's all sorts of hells. There's hot hells. There's cold hells. And there's a whole course on all the realms of existence. I can't remember, course 9, I think. So you can learn all about that. It's pretty crazy. So that's not the topic of today. But the point is here that actually all of these beings are in the desire realm. And only one of those types of beings, which is the pleasure beings, are in the form and formless realms. The other ones aren't.
Oh, pleasure beings are in the form and formless.
Yeah. And the form and formless realm, the pleasure beings, they don't have physical bodies, right? In the form realm, there is subtle form. In the formless realm, it's only mind. And we can go to these places. We'll talk about that a bit today. You know, you can, in fact, we must go to the form realm if we want to see emptiness directly. So you can be in the desire realm. We can sit here right now and close our eyes and go in deep meditation, and we can go to the form and formless realm. But there's actually beings who live there, right? So we'll talk about that a bit today. So where would the Buddhas be? In which realm? We said desire realm, form realm, formless realm. Where would the Buddha fit?
Formless.
No.
a desire, but couldn't it be in any realm?
No. Outside. The Buddhas are outside of any of these realms.
So when you talk about anybody can be a Buddha, then what's that?
Well, you can come to a place. You can emanate, right? But they are outside. They're outside of time and space. They're outside of karma. They're outside, right? They're not. They're no longer creatures of desire. You know, their desire is a pure form of desire where when we think about other people, right? About other beings, how to help them, how to make them happy. And by doing so, they'll always stay there. So the 3 realms are all suffering. The desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm are all suffering. They're all samsara. Okay? So it's not like you are you know, when you are born in form or formless realm, that you're a god, you're a pleasure being, that you're no longer suffering. No, they say you are still a suffering being, even if you're having good times over there. And we'll find out a little bit more about that too. So say makpole. This is black karma. So I have a list of 3 kinds of karmas. So the first one's black karma. Black karma, non-virtue, right? It's committed by beings in the desire realm. And the first Dalai Lama says, it's called black karma because its essence is black and its result is black. So essence is black because it's done by a creature that is suffering, right?
So it's committed
by a suffering being. So of the Four Noble Truths, it's related to the first 2, right? Life is suffering. There's a cost to the suffering.
Would that be like samsara then?
Sorry?
Would that be samsara?
Absolutely. Yeah. Samsara is suffering. Yeah, absolutely. So we have black karma. What would karpole mean? Give it a guess.
White karma.
White karma, yes. This is virtue's karma in the form realm. So because these beings in the form realm, they don't suffer like outright suffering, they don't have pain because they're having a good time, they're in bliss, right? They've done so much virtue before, that's what got them into this form realm, right? They've done certain types of meditations, most likely, you know, in their past life, they've done a lot of meditations to go to these realms, which then ends up being the cause for you to be born there. And so they're not suffering when they're there, and therefore it's a white karma. Because the black karma, the essence, the being who did it, was suffering, right? And in this case, they're not suffering outright like humans. So that's why it's white. And the result is pleasant.
So when do they suffer?
Yeah, that's a good question. The thing is that we'll talk about it in this class more. When you go to these form realms to meditate, in your meditation, you're going to places and you're having beautiful, subtle experiences. But when you come back to the world, it doesn't change anything, right? So you're just kind of as having a nice holiday for a while. But when you come back, things are still the same, right? You haven't dealt with your anger, with your jealousy, with, you know, with all your mental afflictions. So they're still there. But you are planting all this virtue because you're spending so much time in the form realm where you're not doing anything wrong there. So that's why you're born there. But you still have all these old seeds from before that you never dealt with. And at some point, being in the form realm, you're doing this white karma, but it's not steeped in wisdom, you see. And because it's not steeped in wisdom, it won't be strong enough for it to always continue. So the energy will get pushed through from all your old bad deeds, from all your old tendencies of your anger and jealousy and your pride and all of it. That will come through. And when it comes through, they say you go to the lowest hells after spending all this. You can spend thousands of years in the form realms, but when it's done, it's done. You go way down. Yeah.
So how do you prevent yourself from getting there then? You keep dealing with your anger and your other mental afflictions?
Yeah. You gotta bring wisdom to the equation, right? We can go to the form realms, and when you do, when you can be there and think about wisdom, then you're using it as a very powerful path. Yeah.
Maybe it's me, or maybe I missed it, but then how would you describe the form realm? When I just hear the word form, I think of, oh, we're in physical form, but obviously it's not.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky to describe, I think. So when you meditate, you'll have a feeling, you have a sense of that you're rising, and when you come back, you feel like you're coming down. And when you're there, I think it'll be different for everybody how that would look, how you experience it. But what I can tell you is that in the form and formless realm, there's no desire. So you don't have sense like you're not hungry, you're not thirsty, there's no cravings for such things, you know.
Dream state, like I heard of
Yeah, I think
people, like when you said rising, that's what a description I've heard of. When we're in our dream state, we are not in our body, and we can do many different things, and then you come back into your body.
I do think that that would be similar. Yeah.
So then your subtle body goes with you out there? What's going out there then?
You know, it kind of depends. There's all these different levels, and it gets subtler and subtler and subtler. So you have the form realm and then the formless realm. So I think there's 4 or 5 levels in the form realm, and then 4 levels in the formless realm. But really, what matters is that, you can't really force it. You're not like you're there and like, oh, I must be in the second level of the form. No, it just kind of happens, right? And how does it happen? By the virtue that you do during the day, by all the virtue that you're collecting, by studying and thinking about these ideas, by meditating, by serving your lama, by all that, you'll just go. And it's hard to describe. I think you just gotta figure it out what's going on. But the point is that don't go there to hang out and be a bliss monkey, because it won't do any good. You're not reaching enlightenment by going on a holiday. It's a nice little break maybe, but it's not going to help you in the long run. What's going to help you in the long run is to work on getting rid of all your mental afflictions and having bodhicitta, wanting to help other people. Like, that is what's going to make you happy. That will last, right? If you just go and have some fun, well, it's nice in the moment, but you come back, you still gotta deal with all your crap. So you might as well deal with your crap and not waste your time. You know what I mean?
Because when you were saying that, the thought was like, oh, some people will meditate and go to this form realm, and then, like you said, when they come back, they still have to deal with all their stuff.
Yeah.
But then when I hear that, I kind of think, well, someone who meditates all the time, they don't have to face their
Why not?
Oh, they face it in their meditation, you're saying?
Well, that would be ideal. Yeah, if you do it during the day and your meditation, like do both. But someone who, there's these stories of what comes to mind is this man that I can't remember his name, who was meditating for 3 years in a cave, and he comes out and he's got this all messed up hair from sitting for 3 years, right? I think his hair is all dreadlocks, and he comes out and he opens his eye and there's a rat in his hair, right? And the first thing he does, he gets angry, and well, then you kind of just wasted your time, right? If you come back and what I mean? There's no point in going spend 3 years in meditation when you come back and you're not happier, right? That's the whole point why we should meditate, not just to have a temporary bliss. No, it's to become permanently happy. So meditation is a tool. It can help us to get there, but it's not. When you're a good meditator, it doesn't mean that's equivalent to becoming a Buddha. It doesn't. It's just a way if you use it correctly in a beneficial way. Yeah.
So the way I understand it, the way I like to use meditation is more of a practice to ground and to kind of to clear my mind. So I go into it. I call it sleeping my mind. So my mind can actually sleep. But the actual work, I like the bodhicitta style, because that just for me is more placing the virtue, the wisdom onto the actual event or the situation, which is loving compassion to all beings.
Well, Nina, you got to do both. Like what you were describing is perfect. Like the meditating to ground, to clear your mind. It is needed for you to operate in the world. It is needed, like the world needs you to do that so you can be of service, right? If you don't do those meditations, then you're not in a good place to help people. So it's very important. And then what you're saying is you like to act in a certain way with bodhicitta, with wanting to help other people, right?
Well, I think it helps yourself first to help others. I mean, you have to be able to know how to control or to know how to staple that anger is what I call when you see it coming towards you, to find tools or ways to staple it so it doesn't react in a way that's going to cause more negative seeds.
So this is a big part of it. And you need to continue that. That's beautiful. It functions. At the same time, we also need to meditate. Like we need to be able to get to those firm levels, because from there we can reach. We need to go to the first level of the firm realm, which means your mind needs to be very quiet and subtle. And the way it gets there is by doing all the good deeds in the world and by practicing every day to meditate. We need to get to that level in order to see emptiness directly. So it's both. It's both. But what I'm trying to say is don't go there just for fun and hang out. I mean, a lot of people do that because it's pleasurable and it's fully understandable. I mean, we do that in our daily lives all the time too. We cling to things that feel good, right? And we don't realize that they're suffering because they end. They all end. None of them last. When you have a good time somewhere and you have to leave, then you feel like, when can I do it again? We grasp to it because we want to feel that good. And that's the same going to form realms, because it feels so amazing. Of course you want to go back. But we have to think like that's not going to help us. Like we got to deal with our shit. We really do. In order to not have to go to all these places, in order to not have to deal with it anymore. But you just always feel centered and happy and giving and all of that, right? So, okay, white karma. Then we have karnakdrepa. Say karnakdrepa. What would that mean? If we have black, we have white, what would Karnak Drepa mean?
Neutral gray.
Nice try. Black and white mixed. Yeah. Which does make gray, doesn't it? So Kar is white, Nak is black, Drepa is mixed. Okay, so this is what we do mostly. We actually also do black karma because we are suffering beings, and when we do certain actions that will bring us suffering, it will be black karma, black, right? Black cause, black result. When we do good deeds, you know, that bring virtue, that would be white. But because we are suffering beings, that's the black part. That's why it's mixed. So we are black and we can do white deeds, okay?
So this is good to know that in the scripture, black means you're a suffering being, and not necessarily black means like you're evil.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, like for myself, I'll keep myself, associate that. If it's black, it's a black deed or black magic, and you think, oh, that's an evil thing. But no, in this context, it just means suffering. You're in
Suffering.
Yeah.
It means suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so white and black mixed. That makes sense, right?
And dirty is used the same way. It's black and dirty used the same way. Black, dirty, impure.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we're in different schools all the time, so it gets a little bit confusing what school would use what term. Right now we're in Abhidharma, right?
Yeah.
And they use these terms. But yeah, we
think
hear
so.
later
Yeah.
on like dirty white karma. That would be actually dirty white karma is actually doing a karma without wisdom. So you give something to somebody and it's great, it's nice, but it didn't have wisdom behind it. So it's not something that's as powerful and will continue. It will kind of just burn off, right? But that's a different school, so let's not confuse ourselves with that. So yeah, like what Taranjit said, black and white karma refer to the nature of the being doing the result, and then it's referring to the result, not just to good and bad deeds. So I think that is for your homework, those three: black, white, and mixed. And I'm not sure if the fourth one is in there too, but it's Sakmekile. Sakmekile. So Sakme is unstained, Le is karma, and Ki is, I don't know, adjective. It means unstained karma. Unstained karma. It's a karma that doesn't have a white result, it doesn't have a black result. It actually functions to remove black karma. So this gets interesting, right? So when we see emptiness directly, we can wipe out the black karma. So it doesn't give a white or a black result.
So unstained means untouched on both ends, basically. It's just
It means you're removing the whole karmic system, really. Like a Buddha is outside of karma. A Buddha doesn't have good or bad karma. A Buddha is outside of it, right?
so a
Because of the wisdom.
A Buddha would be as that, right?
Yeah. So why would you want to remove white karma?
It's gonna come to an end.
And we can do white karma until we see that even white karma causes suffering, because there's still levels of desire in that.
In being in white karma.
Yeah,
So
we want to move beyond that. We want to move past that. We don't want any of that.
you could be a white karma and then have a stain on that.
Sorry?
You could be in a white karma and then someone could stain it or something could stain it.
No, I'm not sure what you're saying.
A being could be in this state, right? Obviously, because it is there.
Yeah.
In this, I'm looking at it like a blotter. Like these are all blotters. So there's a black blotter and a white blotter, a gray blotter and an unstained.
Mm-hmm.
So in this number 4, you could come back on this plane, and certain things would stain or change that blotter, that shape.
Well, we
color.
want to remove it altogether. That's what
Right.
the unstained one means, that when you throw wisdom at it,
It removes it.
yeah.
Okay, so it could go either way. That's what's
But we can't really do this kind of karma until we see emptiness directly. We can come close to it.
really.
Yeah. We can have a really good intellectual understanding, right? We can come really close to it. But because our essence is still black, we can't do a full on. No, that's why you need to see emptiness directly. That's why all these teachings are leading you towards that
So
goal, right?
Someone could come in, like a being could come in this state and go backwards rather than forwards. Or, I don't know if I'm but
Depending on what deeds you do. Yeah, I guess you could. I mean, we can, in a day, we can do black karmas, but we can also do black and white mixed, depending on our past karma and depending on our choices in the moment, if we choose to recreate or if we choose to not, right? So I think we need to understand why you want to get out of, renunciation, right? You need to be pretty sick of this life, pretty sick of the suffering that you see in your world. Like, you need to want to get out, feel disgust for all the pain that's just continuously being created by your own mind. Not just your own mind, but your own mind. Everything you see, like all the pain, you need to want to get out of that.
So does that require in us, in the human realm, to become a renunciate, to become a monk?
No, you don't have to be a monk. It's a state of mind, right? I mean, our lives are perfect to practice all of this. You don't need to go and
You're right.
give up your family.
Yeah, maybe
you don't
that's
have to
not you're right. I can definitely agree that but just how there's different levels to, like you said, form realm. There's different levels of desire realm, and I can see in the human kind of specific. Wouldn't we all agree that maybe a monk is kind of practices makes it easier for them to?
It's hard to
It's
say,
like it's
right?
like they're closer to that.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. It could be true, but I think
You know,
it
the
will
amount of
all
time they can
depend.
spend in meditation. And,
Yeah, it doesn't
in
mean though. It
service.
doesn't mean. I mean, when you have all this time to practice a certain way, it doesn't mean that you're better off or you're moving quicker than when you live the life of Hogan Poon. I mean, you don't know that.
No, I don't feel bad. I just kind of go, well, you think about Buddha or Jesus, saints.
Yeah, they had some
usually
time.
don't have families.
I know.
Right? They were.
Yeah,
Single.
but then there's also the examples of people that do have families. Now I'm always very interested in reading stories. I got this book I think from the library, and it's about all the female dakinis, right? All the female, and they have families, and they're like way gone. You know, it's very inspiring to read. When I first started all of this, I'm like, here I am, you know, this mom, I can't do this, and I have 3 kids. How am I gonna, you know, I can't just go for a year or for a month in retreat. Like, how am I gonna do this path? How am I gonna become Buddha? It's not for me, it's not for family people. Well, now I feel like, yeah, you totally can. The situation that you are given, it's for a reason, and you use it. You use it as a path. If you're born in a place where you can be a monk and you know, do the whole monk lifestyle, great. But if you're born here, then we use what we have here, and our whole day is filled with opportunities to use. And there's many ways too. Like I said, meditation is a tool. It doesn't, you know, it's not necessary. I mean, it is in a way, but like we can do in our lives all the great deeds that we just have to sit down in meditation, and we have all the virtue in place, and we can go, right? A monk doesn't have his whole family to serve and serve in that kind of way, so maybe it takes him way longer to meditate. Like it can, I mean, I'm just saying it doesn't have to be like that, but it could look many different ways is what I'm trying to say.
You know, I can be perfectly honest that I kind of feel almost more connected to you in your teaching because knowing that you have a family. I know Lama John doesn't, you know, and Yvonne doesn't, you know. And so if they were telling me, oh, these are the practices, I almost feel more reassured that when you're saying it, that you're like, well, you have so much to balance to continue. And for sure, you know, I find we can, you know, plant seeds all the time in whatever we are doing. But, you know, you probably won't be going on a 3-year, 3-month,
I won't.
3-day retreat
No.
for a while.
No. Right? Yeah. I don't know if I ever will.
Yeah,
if I will,
exactly.
it won't be for another 20 years. Probably.
Yeah, I had that same thought too. Like, you know, though, you know.
And it doesn't have to look like that at all. Yeah.
But you know, as we talk about this, it will always seem like we're at levels, right? To get to this experience of emptiness, and if you're saying that, you're right. If we can accrue our, you know, our karma through whatever we're doing, then maybe we're not. But I guess what I thought is that people who are monks or who, you know, have more time can plant more seeds and
but that's really
they're
not
closer
true.
to.
What you need to do is study this stuff and try to get really strong on intellectual understanding of emptiness, karma and emptiness, and then you apply to everything you do during your day, and that's all you need to do. And you know, in your work, in your family, in your yoga practice, in everything, in going to the grocery store, you know, driving through traffic, you know, just like that. When I drove here, people were letting me in all over the place, and you know, my mind's instantly with that, saying, oh well, that can only be because I've helped other people get to their way or get where they need to go, or let them in traffic. Same thing, and that's how you use just your normal mundane stuff. Just really simple. It takes half a second and it just becomes automatic, after a while. You just think that automatically. And that's what we need to do. We can use, in your work when someone's being difficult, well, you just apply it right away. Apply to that. Oh, why am I seeing this as difficult? I must have been difficult to other people in the past, so I don't have to blame them. I can just take responsibility, and then you'll see it will shift, or maybe it won't shift, but then there'll be more to contemplate about it, Yeah, you use all the little things. You use everything. You use your kids screaming. You use when you feel like you're losing your patience. Like all of it, all of it, all of it. Yeah. So many opportunities. And sorry?
Well, yeah, I guess it's kind of reassuring because I kind of was, not that I've learned a lot or come to a lot of classes, but it seems like I'm seeing the distance between, enlightenment and, as we're learning this, we gotta leave the desire realm to go to the formless. Well, it's kind of
you don't have to go to the formless realm, actually. You don't have to go through all the levels of the form realm either. Only at the very beginning part of the form realm. Yeah. So, yeah, don't worry. You don't have to go through all that. You don't.
Because now what you're saying, well, what I was trying to say is, as I've come to more and more classes, I'm kind of seeing like the distance between Buddhahood and enlightenment. But then now, what I'm hearing you saying is a little bit maybe like a lottery ticket. And if all your virtue, you have an equal chance as someone who's, is at the monastery in Tibet or in Nepal. And,
it really depends. Yeah, it all depends on your virtue, right? It all depends.
Have a ticket.
You do, and it is a winning ticket. So it will. Yeah. Whether it's in this life or, the next or the next, you will get there. Guaranteed.
Can't get any other guarantees, eh?
Mm-hmm. Well, but, see, there's that, I don't know if any of you have it, but it's this aspect of, well, today I was reading the reading and it just wasn't, like you said, dry.
Yeah.
I'm going, how much effort do I want to place in this? For me, I'm kind of at that place where I'm like, how much effort do I want to place in this? Or do I want to do something else that's, I feel, is of service?
Mm-hmm.
All I've heard is, that, if we can become, have that experience and we can help all beings. So does anything help us get there faster? Right? That's what you're hoping to do. Otherwise, well, why not just continue doing what you're doing and hope your ticket, everything you do is planting a seed.
Mm-hmm.
But we can plant our seed outside. We could be outside and volunteering right now.
Yeah.
Or we could be here, and afterwards we could do our homework. Or we could help our kids do their reading or something.
Yeah. No, it's true. You can.
And you seem to be kind of I feel like, you kind of, here you have 24 hours, the same way all of us have 24 hours, and you decided to put more and more of your time towards this.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that it is because you feel this will help you.
Yeah, I do. And it doesn't mean that I don't find these readings hard.
Mm-hmm.
I do find them really difficult, and some courses they're not for me. These ones I find very hard, but I don't worry about it. I read it, and whatever enters my mind, and I understand that's great. If I don't worry about it. I know that at some point, maybe in 5 years, I go back to it, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is all totally making sense, and the language and the words, everything clicks. If the virtue's not there, if I don't have the karma to find this an easy piece, then I won't. But I still try. I'll try, and some days I'll try really hard, other days I won't try that hard, and I'll place my efforts into something else, right? And it is choosing. Yesterday, I was at this marimba concert of my kids, and there was this mom that, I don't know if she's Mexican, a cute little mom. She has 4 kids, and they're all so small, and she's by herself. And I was just feeling like, oh my God, she always looks so tired, and I always see her running with the buggy, and I never see her happy, right? She's always looks burned out. And I heard that her husband's in Mexico, and she went to visit him, and she came back pregnant again, and it's like, oh my God, he couldn't come here. And then when he finally did come here, they got divorced because they never spent any time together, and when they did, it just didn't work out. And just like, oh my God, I can't even imagine doing 4 kids on my own, like little ones, and she needs to work, and I mean, I don't, and I, you know, I want to help her. But then I also, like financially, I thought maybe I'll give her money or something. But then I spoke to somebody who said to me, I'm really going to do a retreat next month, and I don't quite have the funds for it. And, maybe if I sub that many classes, then maybe I'll have enough. And, it was this whole thing. And I'm like, instantly, I'm like, sorry, that's where my money will go, because I want to help other people get to retreats that want to get out of samsara. And the more people that are doing that, like, then the
like
more help in the world, it will help more people. And that doesn't mean I cannot help the other lady too in some way. I definitely can, and I might, I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, you can make choices where you spend your time, where you spend your money, what is most virtuous, what's most beneficial for all beings, right?
Yeah, I guess that's what last week's class was. The different levels of the karma ripening. It's like if you're giving it to an arhat or
a higher object,
something coming out of emptiness, and so it seems like there's certain choices that will speed up. Will give you a bigger reward.
Yeah.
And that's what you were doing. You were kind of, here's my energy, and if you give it to someone who's moving up the path.
Yeah, and then you dedicate that action, right, to happiness of all being. Like, you really use it. And yeah. So that's what I'm saying, we can make our choices. Do we spend all this time on the reading, or do we do something else? That's like, we do have choices. There's so many ways we can take, but the main thing is like the awareness of karma and emptiness. It will come always down to that, Yeah. So let's keep going here. So basically, we want, if we can get out of the whole karma thing, we can get out of all our desires for temporary pleasant results. They won't last. So according to Abhidharma, there's 2 ways to remove desire in this life. So the first one is Jikten Pelam. So Jikten Pelam, which means the worldly path. And basically, we have talked about all of this. This is when you go into your deep state of meditation, you move through the levels of the form realm, each level of the formless realm. Your meditation becomes more and more subtle as you move through each realm. So there's a causal and a resulting form realm. So we've spoken about that already too. Like, a causal would be, you are in the desire realm, you're sitting here like we do, and you go to the form realm. That would be causal. You can just go there anytime. A resulting would be when you're born there, right? We've spoken about that. So when you're in the form realm in your meditation, you're not hearing, you're not tasting. Your mind is not attracted to your senses. So you're not giving up permanent desire. Like you're not permanently giving up desire, right? It's just temporary. It's just during that meditation. We discussed that. You come back, you still yell at the rat that's in your hair, right? And, you know, people can really think that they are making spiritual progress when their mind gets so subtle and you move through all those realms. And it becomes more subtle and more subtle. And what happens is that, you know, when you make money, say you get $10 an hour for your job and you think that's reasonable, and then the next job you get $20 an hour, then the $10 doesn't look so desirable anymore, right? So you make new standards and it changes like that. And that's the same. It gets more and more subtle. Like you're not okay with the first level anymore. You want to go more subtle and more subtle and more subtle. The first level won't do anymore because you've seen how more subtle you can get. So people mistake this as spiritual progress. They might like eat less or you know, I don't know how to say. Like it's not a permanent progress. When you come back, like and you're in the world, yeah, you still have all that, right? It's not. It's like going in retreat. Like when I go in retreat and I come out, I feel pretty darn amazing. Like my diet is awesome. I don't feel so heavy. I feel light. I've done yoga every day for, you know, the weeks that I've been in retreat. My mind feels very quiet. I come out and I feel great. Well, that won't last, you know. It won't. Slowly we get back into the world and it's not quiet anymore because there's so many things I need to do and I need to care for the kids and, you know, all my stuff will come back, you know, all the stuff I need to deal with mentally. So it's not permanent, even though it seemed like when you're in retreat, like, wow, I'm really like doing well here, you know, it won't. It doesn't work like that. That's temporary, and that's not what we want. Okay, that's just it's a nice side effect. It happens to everyone. Most everyone that comes out of retreat has a beautiful glow. They look amazing, and you can really see like, wow, they've gone somewhere far and they look great. Well, if you see them 2 months later, they don't look that great anymore. They might still look very nice, but you know, they don't. It's not the same, so it diminishes, right? So the same when you go to these form realms, it's not desirable because it won't last. You won't get to take that feeling with you that you feel in the form realms to your normal life. No. So the only state of mind that can remove all your bad thoughts is the direct perception of emptiness, or selflessness, as they say in the Abhidharma Kosha. So that's one way to remove your desire, that worldly way, yet we've come to the conclusion that that's not really removing desire, it just only removes desire while you're in meditation. So the second one then is Jikten Le Depe Lam. So that means the path which is beyond the world.
The path that is beyond
the world. So here you're not giving up the desire realm because you're moving through subtler forms of meditation and feel good. No, you give it up because you understand its emptiness. So that's the method you need if you really want to relieve desire. So that is the purpose of meditating. That is the purpose to reach
So what was that second one? That
form
was
level.
the worldly way, and then the other one was
The second one is the path which is beyond the world. So you transcend the world. Okay, so we've had quite a lot of discussions already that are supposed to come later in the class, so I just gotta figure out. So there's a lot of meditation practices where you just empty your mind, right? We must all have heard from them where you're just like thinking nothing. That's your goal, and having a mind with no thoughts. So the thing about that is that you will still get old, sick, and die. Okay. And the reason why it's a good thing to do is trying to quiet your mind. What we do at the beginning of class is I'm trying to get you in this space that's neutral. Really, to calm your mind so we can think about virtuous objects. If our mind isn't neutral, if it is not calm, then we will think about what we're doing afterwards, or we're thinking about what happened to the person who yelled at me, or whatever, right? So that's the purpose why I like to start the class just with that, so we can center. But that is not something that will get you out of suffering in itself, okay? It's just something we can use as a setup to then move on to something virtuous. You could call it preliminary, I guess. So in this class, they say you have to meditate an hour or two every day, or you won't get realizations. Now, I think that is debatable. I do feel that it's important to have a consistent meditation practice in order to see some results, and I also feel like you do have to put in hours, you do have to put in time, just like anything. If you want to learn to play piano, you can't expect to be like a concert pianist, right? When you first start. No, it's going to take time, and it doesn't have to be hours every day. If you do a little bit every day, it will definitely benefit you. And that combined with the other things, I think can speed that process up big time. I don't have time to meditate 2 hours a day. I can't. Maybe one day, you will. I mean, what you can do definitely is create causes for more time. I used to have no time at all, nothing. I had my hands full with 3 screaming kids for a few years, and there's no way. And then, now by understanding, what I've been taught for so many years, I'm always very aware of making sure my husband does things that he likes to do, like support other people in the things that they want to do, offer them time. If he wants to go to a concert, I'm like, great, go. I'll watch the kids and you go, have fun. Like that. Instead, before I would be like, you're gonna leave me alone with the kids again? I would have that. It's very different. It's a very different way of living to to help others in what they want to do. And that will create the costs for you to have not only time for meditations, but also having good meditations, right? Support others with the things they want to do. So you can create that time that way. And it's just a nicer way to live too, right? They also mentioned praying that I think he said it was Jason Kappa, but I can't remember for sure, that he would spend most of his time praying in retreat in his caves, praying for wisdom. And then someone in the class asked, praying to what? We already proved there's no God out there helping you, so how does that work, you know? And how would that work? Why would praying be something that can help you?
Clears the mind.
Clears the mind.
Repetitive thought. And it also focuses in on other things other than ego.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah. Anything else?
You could be like, if you pray for something, like I'm thinking about myself, and I actually visualize it, I think of myself as having that particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like what you're saying, your future, seeing your future self in that position, kind of like visualizing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Could you just, if you think you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it. So you're putting the cause in place.
Yeah. Well, in this case, like you beg. I do that a lot. I beg. I lay on my mat and I beg for help, for wisdom, and so that's apparently what he did for years. The reason why, one of the reasons why it can function is because you're asking for something virtuous, right? So you're thinking about virtuous objects, which then plants the seeds for virtue, which will, you know, move you along to gaining more wisdom, right? And I think that what Nina mentioned, the ego thing, is also you're not thinking about yourself. Like in my case, I beg to be done with thinking about myself because I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of the way I see my mind turn, and there's always like the sneaky little thing, and I don't want to see that anymore. So I beg for that to be gone, so I can be of service, so I can help other people, right? I don't feel like I can be of great service if I'm always have this little thing that wants something. So that's a virtuous thought, right? It's virtuous to have those kinds of thoughts. So when you beg to a being that you see as higher than yourself, then there's a lot of good karma planting going on. Yeah.
Last week it was about, if you want karma to ripen, if you have a very strong emotion about it. So I guess repeatedly praying or continuing to focus and visualize that.
That was one of the ones, right? Doing something over and over again. So that will be included in this, as well as what you're saying. A high object. Yeah, so you got, so it's virtuous in a few different ways, right? Yeah.
Some people call just reading scriptures prayer, but that's not the kind of prayer that you're talking about. You're talking about asking. Please give me this, give me a blessing.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. And reading scriptures can do the same thing too, especially if you put a lot of feeling in it, right? If you really mean it. I mean, there's one thing to just recite it, and that will be virtuous, but if you recite it with a lot of intent, then it'll be definitely different, right?
And I hear that sometimes you don't even have to understand it, that there's just something else going on.
Yeah.
So even if you don't understand it, to read it.
Yeah.
vibration that occurs during the voice, the echo, or the repetitive thought,
Yeah.
and it can actually change energy in a space, or it can move.
Yeah.
It's energetic.
Yeah. Yeah. I can buy that. Yeah. Okay. So say Leilam.
Hey, Layla.
No, not say.
Oh, sorry.
Leilam.
Layla.
Layla.
Lay is karma. Lam is what? Path. Karmic path. Path of karma. So there's 10 of those, which are the 10 non-virtues, right? Which are
Killing, not stealing, no sexual misconduct. Do you want me to go through all 10? Or
Yeah.
you give anybody else
Oh.
a go?
I know.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, I'm
Nina,
gonna say
go.
that.
I'm
ahead.
cheating. Can I?
Yeah.
Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, diverse talk, harsh words, useless talk, being unhappy when others get something, or being happy when others don't get something they want, and wrongful worldview.
awesome.
But it's not divisive talk, it's divisive.
Divisive.
Oh, I
Divisive.
can't see it, so I
Okay.
apologize.
Isn't one of them
I did pretty
craving?
good.
Yes, you did.
One of them was craving what others want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
craving and ill will.
Ill
Yeah.
will.
Okay. So we're talking about karmic path here. So it will have these elements to it. I'm gonna move a little bit quicker because we're actually taking a long time tonight. She
She.
is basis. And this refers to the object involved in doing the karma. So, say in killing, the object would be a living being, right? Stealing, something that's owned by somebody else, like that, right? The object, the basis. So the karmic path will have 4 elements. So this is the first element. The second one is sampa.
Sampa.
Sampa is the thinking or the intention, which we can divide in 3 things. C'est douche,
Douche.
nyongmon, kunlong. Douche is correct identification. So which means like the person you killed, is it the one that you intended to kill, right?
I'm confused by that. So the person you
Maybe when we step on a bug, we don't intend to kill the bug. Or step on the grass.
Yeah, or you think you're killing someone, but you actually killed their brother, or like that.
grammatically, right? Got it. Yeah. Okay, I connect with that
You might not.
because you're in the moment.
Yeah. So that is the first one. Then the second one of that nyongmong is the bad thoughts. So what's going on while you do the act? Are you most likely it will be liking, disliking, ignorance. You can do sexual misconduct out of desire, but you can also do it out of you want to get at somebody, you want to hurt someone else, so you're doing it out of on purpose. There's different motivations why you would do a thing. And then there's also the part like which is kunlong, the third one, your motivation or intention. Did you mean to kill, or was it an accident? You know, there's a difference if you intend to kill somebody, or if you by accident hit a pedestrian when you're driving, right? There's a difference. So obviously, if you intend to kill someone, that karma would be stronger. You know, it would be different. That makes sense, right? So the third one of the karmic path is undertaking the deed, so actually doing it. So if you want to kill somebody, you're taking the weapon and you're going after the being, okay? So you're actually doing it. And then the fourth one, tartuk, say tartuk, is completing the deed. So when you kill somebody and they don't die right away, maybe they die 6 months later, then after 6 months, then your deed is completed. It's not completed until it's complete, okay? So when all these things are in place, then it's a complete karma. If one of them is missing, then it will have a different outcome.
I have a question, and it might be far, but so the killing one.
Yeah.
Let's say, and this is just my mind running right now.
Yeah. Just keep it short because I want.
A mother has a son, and their son passes away at 2 or 3, leukemia or some condition, and it's devastating, obviously. Could that karmic seed be something of that son or that child, that being, having committed something in a past life, coming back and having this shortened life like that?
It must be. Absolutely.
That's what I thought in my mind, but I
Yeah.
would never share that, but I just,
Yeah.
it is a situation
don't.
I'm in. I would never share
No.
that.
Don't
think
say
I
that.
would
Yeah, your son
But
died
it just,
because.
when I was studying this, it was the first thing that came to my mind was that.
Yeah.
Was that.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. Okay. So I have all these 4, and then it makes a complete karma. Okay. So then there's a little discussion about war, like if you are supporting the war, but you're not the one that's actually killing people, do you still get the karma of killing? And the answer is yes. Because when you hire a hitman to kill, somebody, then it's the same as doing it yourself. So they're saying in a war situation, if you support it, then yeah.
Is that because even though the act is not acted, the mind has thought it? Or the mind has planted that seed without acting it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not certain how that would work, if they say that I guess the deed is completed. People are killed, gone through those steps, even though it wasn't you who actually completed the deed. That's worth a little bit of thinking about, I think, how that would work.
Mariska, isn't your example then, isn't it the same as eating meat?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, it's huge discussions, Yeah, they say it kind of depends what scripture you read. There's different. But yeah, when you buy meat, you're not killing it, but you are involved in the whole thing. So yeah, they do say.
Create the demand for another. If nobody bought it, then they wouldn't kill any more animals. But
yeah,
if you buy it,
you definitely get karma for that. So Geshe Micro definitely don't eat meat because of that. But then there's other high lamas, Geshe Micro, but I don't want to go against what other high lamas say, and many of the high lamas, they all eat yak meat and stuff. So I don't know. It kind of depends on your whole mindset too. How you view the animal and how the whole thought process around it too. But it is a big debate, and I think there's many different ways to look at it. But yeah, if it says if you're supporting the war and you get the karma for that, then that should apply. Same to me.
So some high lamas in Tibet eat yak.
They do, yeah, they do, they do. But you know what's also the thing, like as a bodhisattva, you know, you take bodhisattva vows. When someone offers you something, you should always accept it. So the vows that Tarnjit has taken and I've taken, we are supposed to, when someone cooks us a meal, even though we're vegetarian and it's full of meat, then we're supposed to accept it. It's different than the monk's vows. Monks vow, I believe they don't, but we do. So that's also another way. And, you know, you see it as an offering, and you want them to have the karma of presenting you with something, right? However, I guess you still could choose not to eat it, not, you know, but you wouldn't let them know that you're not eating it. I don't know. You could find a way around it, I guess. But the idea is that you accept what is given. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely has to do with motivation, intention, because you do kill bugs when you walk down the street, and it's different than purposely killing. I have about 1,000 ants in my living room yesterday and today still, and I'm like, okay, how am I gonna deal with this? Because I don't want to kill them. But there's so many, and they just keep popping up from everywhere. So I had this whole technique down to get them out. And I got them out, and then I tried to mop the floor as quickly as I could before they'd come in, so it wouldn't be desirable for them anymore to come in. I removed all the sweet stuff. And I made them offerings outside. I placed outside chocolate for them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's what I thought.
But you know, what really will make them leave won't be my action of putting them outside, right? It will be thinking about the whole situation, like thinking about the emptiness of the ants, how they're making me feel. You know, at first I was very patient and putting them all. Well, after doing this for a few hours, I'm like, I don't want to spend my time doing this anymore. Get out, you know. But that's not how they're gonna go. So they're giving me precious teaching, right, of protecting life, and you know, if I'm annoyed by them, that's only because I've been annoying to other people and been in their place, you know, not giving them their space and all of that stuff, right? So there's a lot of things you can think about, and that will be the cause for them to go, not anything else. Which doesn't mean I shouldn't try to remove them. I do, but it won't be, you know.
They like maple syrup or honey.
Yeah.
Put a bowl of that at each entrance. They go towards it. But one or two ants inevitably fall in and die.
Yeah, they will die. Yeah, there were a few that didn't make it, but
Pleasure bees.
and they're so smart. They're pretty amazing, you know. I think they just call all their friends. I don't know how they do it, but they come in rows, like. And I put cinnamon, because they don't like cinnamon, in my doorway. They'll find a way over, under, you know. They're determined. I'm like, what is here? There's nothing in the living room that.
But it could be in the walls.
It could be, who knows? But anyways, that's not what it's about, right?
Yeah.
It's yeah. So to move on, this is the last little bit, and this is gonna need your full attention too, because it's a little bit tricky. So there's a difference between Le, which is karma, and Lekilam, path of karma. So I said already before, all of those 10, the list of 10, are path of karma. Okay. So the way they're describing path of karma here is that it's a motivator. It motivates or triggers the karma. It's not actual all karma. So the 3 deeds of the mind are not karma, it says.
What does make karma? What does it mean? Karma.
Path of karma.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Lays karma. So I printed out something. Ah, here it is. Because I had to make sense of this myself. Because I'm like, what? So the path of karma is a potential that exists for the mind to move and then to do the actual karma. Okay? So the 3 bad deeds of the mind, craving or coveting, ill will, and wrong view, are not a karma, is what they say.
Can you repeat that quickly? So
Yeah.
The path of the karma is the potential of the mind to
The
move?
path of karma is potential that exists for the mind to move and then do the actual karma. So it's like it happens before karma. So the 3 bad deeds of the mind, we have the 10 non-virtues, we have the body, speech, and then mind. The mind ones, craving, ill will, and wrong view, are not a karma, they say. It's a path of karma.
So what was the path of karma? Sorry.
Craving, ill will, and wrong view. They're not a karma. And the ones that are the path of karma and a karma is all the other ones. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, divisive speech, harsh words, useless talk.
So those are the 10 paths, right?
Those are 7, it's 10 total, but the 7 of body and speech are path of karma and karma. So first they're like motivated and then you actually do it.
So the first 7, right?
Yeah.
So if in your mind you crave something that somebody else has, but you don't do anything bad about it. In fact, you realize, okay, I'm wanting something that she has. So I'm actually going to compliment her or do something nice. Have you canceled out that karma, or the fact that you thought it, you were forced to think in jealous ways? Is that creating karma? No, it's just writing in karma.
Okay, let me read this. If someone has ignorant desire, then the possibility is there to steal money. Because ignorant desire will make them understand the cause of having money, right? You think if I steal money, that's how I get money. But the ignorant desire itself is not a karma. It's just there. Okay? So it's not the mind turning towards stealing, it's what makes it possible for the mind to think of stealing. And so you could think that if the ignorant desire wasn't there, then there would be no path for stealing to arise in the mind. There would be no reason to, because ignorant desire is missing. So that's why the desire itself is not a karma. That's why the desire is not a karma itself, but a way that karma can happen. Path of karma.
That's actually quite freeing then.
Sorry, yeah.
That's freeing.
Yeah, and I typed this out because I really had to sit with that the way it was explained in the class, and it was very difficult for me to understand. So hopefully that is clear. The other example that I was given, which I found helpful, is when you see a tap and you turn it and the water is running, and then you put a cup under it. Like me turning the tap and the water's coming out would be the path karma. No,
Potential.
would be, oh my
Potential.
God. Okay, I just lost it. Like,
There's a possibility that you could have a glass of water, but putting a glass underneath actually gives you the water.
yeah, but I was actually going to say the handle that's just sitting there doing nothing, that would be the potential. It's not doing anything. If you remove the handle, then there's not even an opportunity for me to turn it and get the water. But it's just sitting there not doing anything. Does that make sense? So this is in your reading too. So you can read this, what I typed out for you, and you can look it up in the reading. And then hopefully that becomes clear. But also what makes it more confusing is that there's different schools that say different things. So some schools will say, no, it is a karma. So that's where it's getting like, oh my God, okay. But here in this school they say, no, those three things are not a karma. It's a path of karma. The rest is all a path of karma and a karma.
So I like that, the tap things, but I'm questioning. So if there's no tap, there's no
Then
thought.
no.
Then you were born either with a good karmic situation, if you don't even think about murdering.
None of it is possible. Yeah.
Or if you think about murdering, then it's the tap handle.
But the tap, yeah, and when the tap
It's
is
your
there,
choice
the
to-
tap's not doing anything. But it is a potential for you to be able to turn the tap and then make it work.
Oh, it's like seeing a piece of chocolate cake in the fridge, right? It's like the potential is there.
Yeah.
You're on a diet and you're trying to whatever, and you know if you eat that, you're gonna
Sure.
put weight on.
Yeah.
But it's so you have to control, right?
You have the choice then to
eat
activate it. Yeah.
Or to okay.
So which
Yeah.
one is the first three? Is the chocolate cake?
No, the first seven.
The last
First seven is the
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 first
chocolate
eating the
cake.
chocolate cake.
would be the craving before the karma comes.
So in the homework they ask, what is karma but not a path of karma? And the answer to that is karma is the movement of the mind. And then they say, what is karma and a path of karma? So that's what we said. Those are the seven, right, of body and speech. And then what is path karma but not a karma is those three of the mind. Okay, you covered it all.
I think with the thoughts, it's kind of like sometimes you're forced to think in a certain way where the thought comes up and you think, oh shit, I just had that thought. So, okay, I've done something in the past that forced me to have this thought, but then you don't act on it.
Yeah.
And then there's the kinds of thoughts where you kind of like, well, if I do this and that and the other, kind of like a malicious, and you kind of get a high from thinking in almost like an evil way type of thing. Not that I go around doing this, but and I think for me that would definitely garner karma. But the first one where you think you regret the thought that you've had and you realize where it's from, but you don't act on it, that would get karma. But if you you're thinking in a manipulated way, if I do this, if I say this, then this might happen. That would, for me, would be gonna get a comment yourself because it's a manipulation going on where my mind is actively working.
Actively working
Right.
on it, yeah. Yeah, so you're saying if I don't act on it, then it won't be karma. But if I do act on
But
this
looking
initial
at the
thought,
emptiness of it too, we're looking at,
Yeah.
okay, I had this thought because of something stupid I've done in the past,
Yeah.
right?
but this doesn't even go there. It doesn't
Right.
even go, because
Yeah.
when you start to apply emptiness to it, then the whole thing changes again, right?
Yeah.
Then you are actually canceling it out
Yeah.
for the future. But they don't talk about that. Yeah.
You know, when you record in the book sexual misconduct, you know, obviously that book says you do the rings further out. Not
Yeah.
that we're doing it, so. But that's what I might record if suddenly I had a thought. I mean, the outer ring was looking at a picture of someone of the opposite sex and thinking. So I guess we still, I mean, it's still put that, record that as
Yeah, you can, and it's good because that will make you aware, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you might not catch it because we have so many of those thoughts all the time that we wouldn't even know we had. But the book is there to help you to, just like the formula is to get more subtle, more subtle, more subtle, right? To first, in the gross form of actually doing sexual misconduct, then you go more subtle to, checking out the cute ladies or whatever, then more subtle, seeing a picture in a magazine, then more subtle. Oh, look, I had a thought of desire there for a second. Everything becomes more and more and more subtle as you move along the path, and you need to keep awareness of that and try to catch it so you can cancel it out completely. But if you don't know it's there, you can't remove it.
or like you said, sometimes it could just be your seed ripening from the past.
Well, that's what it is. Yeah.
Right. It's not like that you purposely were like, oh, let me think that thought.
No.
Sometimes
No.
it's like
No.
something.
You're forced to have
Yeah, exactly that.
that pop up. There's nothing you can do in the
Mhm.
moment about it. It comes. When it comes, it comes.
You can't
So-
feed it.
Then you have the choice. Yeah.
You have to kind of just okay,
And what do you do,
not act on it like you said.
Yeah, Angus Mike Rhodes talks about that. He says there's all these teachings on it that you should, because he says he has an issue with desire, and then the teachings are, just pretend, look at them as your mother, or look at them as your sister, like to remove the desire, or see them as this being of snot and poo and grossness. And he's like, well, that's all fine, and I tried all that, but the desire is still there. I see a beautiful lady, I feel feelings of desire, so it's not really helping me. So the only thing that will really help is thinking about the emptiness of it. Why do I see this beautiful lady? Maybe rejoice that you see someone that you think is beautiful, but know that it's not the lady out there making you feel that you want something. It's your past deeds. It's your karma that you're forced to see this in this way, and that's what will change the whole thing. It won't really change it if you think about her as your mother. I mean, maybe it might. If you have the karma in place, it might change it in a moment for you. But to actually really get rid of things that aren't serving you, you have to go to the emptiness of it. Yeah. Because they say emptiness is like a nuclear bomb. It just destroys. Every time you go there, it destroys lifetimes of ignorance. It's very powerful. Yeah. So that's class. We better stop because it's 2:30. I don't know how that happened, but we'll first do the prayers.
Let's go.
very eager to be done. Cooking, judging later, tran we rapping she nyan they can party, some gay do make day one, gi ra go nam that shing la chu pa shu. Inangulat naman kamiyati amin. Sunam yashi so so shi. Sunam yashi leitum. Damba guni dopa shu.
That's it, Mariska. Just keep teaching.
You're very welcome.
This wrist work. Thank you.